Mahayana Buddhism. What does Mahayana Buddhism mean? And why Mahayana Buddhism is still followed around the world in all sort of Buddhist culture very eloquently. That is all about this video. And what does Mahayana mean? The word Mahayana is a Sanskrit word which states that it is a largest vehicle. Largest vehicle doesn't mean that it is followed by largest amount of people, which means that the enlightenment of people is propagated to every people around them. That's what Mahayana mean, which leads it to origin of Mahayana. When did Mahayana concept originated? It was originated in the common era of Buddhism and rapidly spread around 9th century of Central and East Asia around the world, and still it is followed uh, very faithfully in this culture. Why does the Mahayana concept was very rapidly spreading among all its disciples? There is a main reason because it was first originated as a monastic principle that is only can followed by the superior elite people or monks or arhats. But gradually it just propagated to the layman practitioner terms, which doesn't mean that a common people can practice this Mahayana concept and they can achieve the enlightenment path, and they can propagate that what knowledge they had acquired through these enlightenment path, they can share that enlightenment through all the other people, which was which was not present in the Hinayana concept or Theravada concept. That is the main reason the Mahayana concept was very famous around the Buddhist culture still now. And what does that mean? That a monk or a arhat or a common person, a very common person who's very unrelated to enlightenment concepts, can reach all three, the monk, arhat, and the common people, can reach that spiritual superiority. That is the most delightful thing that Mahayana has did to the Buddhist disciple that any other concept didn't do. So that is why it's very famous. So that anyone who reached that spiritual superiority should be considered equal to the monk or arhat, and they are called as Bodhisattvas. So Bodhisattvas are the one who can attain the enlightenment of enlightenment as like Buddha. That is what Mahayana is about. Anyone can become Buddha by simply practicing what he taught. Whereas we should be very disciplined in following all those principles, and that is how the Bodhisattva, using this Mahayana principle, can achieve the enlightenment and can help large amount of people to follow the same. Mahayana versus Hinayana. There is a term before Mahayana, that is Hinayana, which was practiced around the Buddhist disciples and Buddhist cultural people before Mahayana. And why Mahayana took over Hinayana? Mahayana is about teaching the Bodhisattva to the people all around you to get enlightenment, not only for you, but to teach that enlightenment part to all of the people around you. But Hinayana is about getting enlightenment within yourself so that you can be the leader to large amount of people. That is what is followed. That is what is followed still in Mahayana by one group of people, that is leading to two types of monks in the Mahayana concept. One monk is a forest hermit, and the second monk is the Dharma preacher. The forest hermit exactly follow the Hinayana concept, but still he is in the Mahayana principle. That is why it is called as the artificial Mahayanist who follows the Hinayana concept. They are called as forest hermits. They think that they can only reach that enlightenment because they are very lucky to have that spot in this cultural heritage. What they thought is they can only have this enlightenment so they can preach the people around them, so that other people, the commoner, cannot have those sort of enlightenment, because they might get jealous of the commoner, that is a dharma preacher, whereas the dharma preacher monk states that one should be very compassionate enough, one should not get jealous of what other people might think, or when I teach this enlightenment so that they will get knowledge. It should not be like that. That is, we all should grow as a utilitarian concept of greatest amount of enlightenment should reach greatest amount of people. That is what they followed by the principle of Mahayana with dharma preacher concept. Asoka story. We were telling about the differentiation between Hinayana and Mahayana concepts, how Mahayana spread rapidly among the Buddhist disciples because of its approach towards the commoner people. There is no difference between the common people, monk, or the Arhats if they follow the Bodhisattva principle with enlightenment of great number of people. That is how it is. But we need to be very specific how these monastic Hinayana concept, that is a monastic Hinayana concept, converted the origination of the first monastic Mahayana concept into the layman practitioner term. It should be very clear. And if we just dig deep into the syllable, we can see one story of a princess named called Azohadatta. So Azohadatta was a 12-year-old girl who was lived during that time where Mahayana was spreading slowly. That is the initial time of Mahayana. She was a princess during that time. She lived as a princess where she's still a girl, but she's a princess. Even though she's a princess, people are not going to give her exact respect because she is a girl, because the matriarchy was still there and still now. And the Asoka was very peculiar in following the Bodhisattva principle. Once, the Hinayana monks who were considered superior at that time because, Mahayana was slowly growing. So still Hinayana was there, and the Hinayana monks were there in the princess home. I mean, princess kingdom. And what they expected from the Asoka princess is she should respect them, bow down to them, as she is a girl, she is inferior to them. And what the Hinayana, or else like a Buddhist concept still now believed, is that gender neutrality is not there, whereas the female is still inferior to the spiritual superiority. That is what is followed. Still we can see that even in the Tibetan culture, still now that if you go and ask them who is going to be your next Dalai Lama, they will not say that she'll be the next lady. And they will not say that it is a lady. They will say any other man will become Dalai Lama. So that is how the superiority of general equality is still followed around them. So even if it is still now, you can think that how it will be there, how it will be back then. So Asoka didn't respect them, as they ordered that you should respect us because we are monks, we are men, we are monks. But she said that I'm not going to respect you simply because I am a girl and simply because you followed Hinayana principle. If you are going to follow the Bodhisattva path, you are going to enlighten everyone around you, and you are not going to consider yourself as superior and other people as inferior. I'll simply respect you, but you are not that, and you are simply a jackal. She just referred them as a jackal because for their own interest they can do anything. That's what she said. And to teach them the lesson, there was a story like that. To teach them the lesson, she just turned into a boy and then turned again into a girl, to prove to all of them that there should be a gender equality around the people who follow Buddhism. This is one of the most empowering, woman empowering concept that was followed at that time too. And Asoka, what she wanted to say is the Bodhisattva principle should be followed by the layman people too. Then anyone, even the king, can respect that Bodhisattva commoner. Because he reached that spiritual superiority. That is what the Asoka principle explains us. Modern view versus Mahayana principle. So we said that Mahayana was followed still now, and still the Mahayana concept combined with the now trendy world's concept. No, because Mahayana said that the abortion is a sin that one woman can commit. But how modern world sees abortion? Uh, as you can see that the world leaders like Japan, who's practicing the Buddhism on its peak, where abortion is allowed. In China, it is not allowed, but in Japan, it is allowed to a great extent. That is what I'm saying, to a great extent. And how the Mahayana principle still followed in Japan and still the abortion is accepted is they say that if the woman is into the abusive relationship or woman has get into the unwanted pregnancy, she has all the rights to get into abortion, as it is going to safeguard that child, the unborn child, future. So she's not only safeguarding her own being, but the unborn child's future. That is what the modern thoughts collaborate with the old Mahayana principle, and that is the very enriching factor that we can see how the old principles are evolving now, and how the world is growing with all its new strategy combined with its old tradition. Not it's going to be orthodox, but it is going to be accessible by everyone. It should be very flexible so that it can grow and grow and grow. That this is what I wanted to discuss with you about Mahayana principle in this video to you all. And stay tuned. I'll see you with new concept in the next video.